Hello, I'd like to speak today about the use of voice during a hypnotherapy session because it's just so important and very often misunderstood. Now, a lot of people, even hypnotherapists, believe that during a hypnotherapy session you need to just use a gentle, melodic tone of voice, a hypnotic voice if you like, throughout the whole session, and that's just not true. Because during a hypnotherapy session, we're engaging the unconscious mind. And while we want the conscious mind to be relaxed and perhaps to drift off, and we want the body to be relaxed, we need the unconscious mind to be alert and to be working and to bringing about the change that we want to create for that client. And the only instrument that we have to do that is our voice. You see, during a hypnotherapy session, the client has very little sensory input. Their eyes are closed, they're comfortable, they're warm, they're relaxed. And the only sensory input that they really have is their hearing. And so we need to use our voice to really create something for that client. Our voice is the only instrument that we have to create change for the client. And so we need to use it really effectively. Now, whilst the conscious mind works in thoughts and words, the unconscious mind works in feelings and images. And so we need to use our voice to create those feelings, create those images that can bring about the change that the clients come for. We don't want it to just tune out and drift off. No, we want it to be with us and to be doing the work. So, yes, when you want to use those relaxing tones, like when you're doing an induction or a progressive relaxation, then of course you're going to use those gentle, melodic type tones. For example, now just focus on all the tiny muscles in your head, your forehead, and around your eyes, and just feel them loosening and releasing. That's right. We want to use those lovely, gentle, relaxing tones. But if you want to get a different message across, for example, if you were using aversion during a session, and for example, if you were doing a smoking session and smell was an aversion for that client, you wouldn't use that same tone. You wouldn't be saying things like, "And you'll never smell like a disgusting, smelly cigarette or ashtray again." No, that'll just get lost in the speak of the session. It'll just get lost in the rhythm, the unconscious mind drifting off, tuning out. You want to create a feeling and an image with those words. And you'll never smell like a disgusting, smelly cigarette or ashtray again. Not ever. Ugh. You know, you're really creating an image there, a feeling. They can't see the expression on your face, but they can hear the tone of your voice, and that creates something for the unconscious mind. It takes notice. So I kind of like to think of it like speaking to a child. Speaking to the unconscious mind, it's like speaking to a child. And when you want to calm that child, when you want to settle them or comfort them or relax them, then you will use the tone of voice that naturally does that. And you do it without even thinking about it. But if you want to get a point across to that child, you will use an entirely different tone. And that's how you've got to think of it with the unconscious mind. When you're reading a child a story, you use lots of expression. You use voices, you use pause, you use tone to really create something for that child. And during a hypnotherapy session, it's just the same. You use expression, you use tone, you use pause, you use all of those things to create something for the unconscious mind. And that'll have such a great impact. That's where where you have an impact, where you bring around change for the client. Now, it's very important, if you're reading from a script, not to sound like you're reading from a script. You don't want to sound like you're reading, because once again, you'll lose the attention of the unconscious mind. It doesn't sound authentic. It doesn't sound real. You're not doing script gnosis, you're doing hypnosis. And you want to be talking to the unconscious mind, not reading to it. So for example, if you had a part of your script that said, and you'll never smoke another cigarette in your life. A cigarette will never touch your lips again. Rather than reading that from the script, if you're really familiar with your script and you've personalised it and you know what's there, you've read it before, then you can just glance at it, capture what that next sentence is, and then speak it directly to the unconscious mind. A cigarette will never touch your lips again. You're never going to smoke another cigarette again in your life. You're speaking it. It's more authentic, it's more real, and the unconscious mind will take note. It'll pay attention. Now, if you're not sure, or even if you are sure, if you think that you read scripts just fine and you don't sound like you're reading, you may well be right. But a really good tip is to record yourself. Every so often, just record yourself doing a session and listen to it and listen, hear the impact that it has. And this is really important actually, because we're all here to get better, to improve. And if you listen to yourself, if you record yourself and listen to yourself, yeah, it might be amazing. You might think that's fabulous. But I'm betting that there will be little parts there where you can say, well, that could be better. I can improve there. And this is what we want. We want to create better. We want to be better for ourselves, for our clients. And that's a really good way to do that, just to record yourself and not to listen while you're driving or doing your housework, but to relax down, immerse yourself in what you're saying and feel the impact. And as I said, it may be amazing and you may find areas there where you can improve. So that's a really good thing that we all should do on a regular basis. Now, questions. We often use questions during hypnotherapy, conscious and unconscious, or awake or in trance. And questions are, well, they're worded like questions, but they're spoken like a statement. You do not use a question in hypnotherapy like you do in real life. So, for example, if I was saying to somebody, if I was saying, oh, I'm going to the shops, do you want to come? You tend to lift the tone of your voice at the end of a question. Do you want to come? Because it's a question. There's a bit of uncertainty there. And in hypnotherapy, you don't want that uncertainty. So you tone a question like a suggestion or a statement, because questions also double for embedded commands and for suggestions. So you might, in a hypnotherapy smoking session, ask questions, can you quit cigarettes once and for all? And you're looking maybe for an ideomotor signal, an unconscious agreement. But you wouldn't sound like you're asking a question. So it wouldn't be, can you quit cigarettes once and for all? Or can you quit cigarettes once and for all? There's uncertainty there, there's questioning there. Now, yes, it's a question, but it's also a suggestion and an embedded command. Can you quit cigarettes once and for all? Got your ideomotor signal. Will you quit cigarettes once and for all? Will you quit cigarettes once and for all now? See how it's far more authoritative. It's not questioning, it's not uncertain. Yes, you're asking the question, but you're also embedding a suggestion. So the way we tone our questions is really important in a hypnotherapy session. And the unconscious mind, again, it sits up and it takes notice. Now, pause. Pause can be so important in a hypnotherapy session. You don't want to be pause, pause, pause every few words, or your session will take twice as long as it should. But you want to use pause to give the unconscious mind time to process things. And that's what it does. And in a way, like you don't need to use it often or a lot, because the unconscious mind does process very, very quickly, far quicker than the conscious mind. But if you really want it to process something and you want to give it time to do that, then pause is so important. For example, if you were doing a lovely healing session or relaxation and you were doing a healing white light moving through the body, you might really pause there, just imagine this gentle healing glow moving through you, through every part of you, lighting up every cell, healing, rejuvenating. And then you could pause and give the unconscious mind time to create that. And there's many, many other situations where pause is so effective. And then, of course, after that bit of silence, when you start to speak again, the unconscious mind takes attention again. So pause can be so effective during a hypnotherapy session. But also you need to be a little bit careful, because often the unconscious mind does process things very quickly, and you could be giving it too long to process. So never be afraid to kind of get feedback. So you could be pausing, before you pause, you could just say, and just nod your head when you're ready, or when that's done, or depending what the suggestion was. And just wait for the nod. It might come far quicker than you imagined, or it might take a while. And then you've given the unconscious mind the time that it needs to process. So pause is a very important part of the way we use our voice. And it's really important to be aware, to be tuned into the client. You don't know what's going on in their unconscious mind, but you can see. You can see the expression on their face. You can maybe see little shifts or adjustments taking place. But as I said, never be afraid to get feedback, to ask them to nod their head or raise their finger or whatever it is, so that you know where they're up to. Now, another thing that they often use during a hypnotherapy session is the direction of my voice. Pointing your voice in a different direction can be very powerful in enhancing the hypnotic experience. So, for example, when I'm doing a deepener and you're counting down from 10, and with each number the client's going deeper into hypnosis, I usually always use direction of my voice to enhance that. So it might be 10, down to 9, already feeling physically, mentally and emotionally more relaxed and settled than you've felt in a long time. Down to 8, almost floating, drifting, down to 7. So you're using the direction of your voice to really create that feeling of moving down or floating and drifting, and it all just enhances the hypnotic experience. It's actually very powerful. So if you don't already do that, it's a really, really effective way to enhance the experience for the client. and anything that you can use with regard to your voice, it's worth doing. It's worth enhancing the experience, creating the images and feelings, and just using everything you've got in your voice to do that. Now, sometimes we need to be very authoritative in our tone, and some people like to think, no, you don't want to do that, but yes, the unconscious mind is like a child, and sometimes we need to be very authoritative with it. A cigarette will never touch your lips again. You need to speak in that authoritative tone. Not a cigarette will never touch your lips again. That's not going to create that feeling for the unconscious mind. And if you wanted to destroy the triggers, you don't want to destroy all those triggers and mechanisms that once caused you to think of a cigarette. No, you want to destroy those triggers and mechanisms, eliminate them, banish them, delete those mechanisms and triggers from your mind and your body. You really want to say that with an impact. You want the unconscious mind to destroy those triggers, not to be lulling off and not even notice that you've said it. So again, throughout a whole hypnotherapy session, we're creating something for the client, and we're creating change for that client, and we're using the feelings and the images that we convey to the unconscious mind to do that. And that's how we'll get the greatest impact. That's how we really elicit change for that client, by constantly engaging the unconscious mind in the way that we want it to be engaged. So I hope you've enjoyed that talk, that information. I hope you found it interesting and informative. And please let me know if there is anything that you are uncertain about or you would like me to cover in the future. Bye for now.